7:04, calling the selectmen's meeting in order. Please stand, pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As you know, today we are here to finalize the town warrant. So with that, I will hand it over to John.
Okay. This is our attorney, who we spent a lot of time talking to. As the attorney points out, we're talking about a square peg in a round hole this year because of the effect of the coronavirus and the fact that the school didn't hold its normal budget meeting, and so now we had to add a number of articles related to the school into our regular warrant. In fact, we had, I think, 3 or 4 more articles from the school yesterday afternoon. So in the end, Linda has put in crazy amount of extra time. She's worked 8 o'clock the last 3 nights, I think, and a lot of it related to proofing the warrant. Of course, Kathy is out this week, so she had helped with some of the proofing. So we got it all done, and with the last minute consultations with the attorney. Last email that I got from her was 6 o'clock one last night, and I know that Linda got an even later one. And I spoke to the attorney this morning at 7:30, and Linda and I and the attorney have gone round and round and round. You can add anything you need, Linda. And we're now at the point where the attorney is fully on board with the language. I've proved it, and Linda's proved it 6 ways to Sunday, and we think we've got everything. And so I don't have much to add. As you know, we had hoped to get it approved on Tuesday night, but we had some outstanding matters, so we were lucky to be able to get it to ready prep for this morning. And our deadline is partly because of the printers. We have to use a specialized printer because our voting machines are all computerized and so on and so forth. So if we don't get this approved and forward to the printers, we would not necessarily have the ballots ready by the 30 days we're required before our annual deferred town meeting. So that's where we are, and the chair and Linda and I have had many emails back and forth with the attorney over particularly the last day. I've lost count. So that's what I have. If anybody has any questions.
I just want to make one statement that the attorney suggested when we have our open meeting, which we have to have on this public meeting, that it be the school board and the selectmen at the same time. She recommended that way, that because it's our warrant, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's our warrant, it gives the school an opportunity to answer any questions on any articles that they have on our warrant. And she will be more than happy to coordinate that with Terry Wood. She has already spoken to her about that, so it's something that's already in the works. We just have to set a date, basically, and that doesn't have to be done today, but I just want to let everybody know that there'll be one meeting, and that will be it. Does anybody have any?
I will repeat what I said. You are doing the superintendent's work, and you shouldn't have had to do it. Not for one moment.
That's not true. Excuse me, Kim.
We set this up at the end of May with a 100-day deadline. No surprises to anybody. And you had to do the work of the superintendent. It should have been delivered to you on a silver platter, ready to go. No excuses.
Ben, you're speaking out of turn. You don't know. I do know. All of this stuff was delivered to the town office on Monday. I have the copies of the emails. There was one additional article that came in yesterday. I have the emails here. I don't know if this is what you guys want to get into right now, but I don't think it's fair in this time to be anything less than generous with our fellow departments of the town. It's just not right. And I can't sit and allow someone to speak out of turn. Did you talk to Stacy? Did you talk to Terry? You don't know.
Because number one, and I'm going to intervene in this one, number one, as a selectman, it is not our responsibility, or should we be talking to anyone in the school department. That is what we have a town manager for. There is a limitation, if I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what our duties are, and they are. I've been on this email thing back and forth now since, for a long time, and I go back, I mentioned to John, when we first started the pandemic, back in March, we were discussing about an open town meeting then. And John contacted Terry Wood and informed her, once the board made a decision, that we were not going to have a meeting, we were not going to do it in June, we were going to postpone it. They had plenty of time, please.
I cannot buy ahead.
They had plenty of time to get this to us. They cannot sit there and say they weren't aware, because they were.
And no one ever said that except you guys.
Well, they must not have been aware if they waited till Monday to get this to us. This should have been in here a long time ago. But I'm not going to sit here and argue over.
I just wanted to express my opinion.
I agree with you, Ben. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I understand that this is a situation where we have a pandemic going on and the whole 9 yards. I understand that. But the same thing happened last year, and there was no pandemic. Please. I'm trying to control my temper at this point, and it's getting very short. So to stop this conversation and to vote on the warrant article so we can get Linda on her job, on her way with this.
Judy, can I make a motion that we take it all in one?
If that's the board's pleasure, I
I'd
have
like
no
to make a
problem.
motion to approve the budget.
Second.
I do have one question.
Yes, sir. Where is it?
It's Article 69 now. Article 68 is the inserted petition regarding historic preservation. Article 69 starts out, that needs to be changed to 68.
Oh, yes, that's.
You're probably right.
I just noticed that wasn't why I brought it up. That should say should Article 68 under 69.
Should article, that's, yeah.
It should say 68, but my question is, it says should Article 68 fail? How is anybody voting going to know Article 68 failed or not?
There was a lot of that. Linda will confirm.
I think
A lot of back and forth on this.
I wasn't involved in this, but I remember Kathy saying, the way this is worded, and yes, the attorney sent this to us this morning. We haven't had a chance to do the final proofing, and she said it was ready to go. So, we haven't had a chance to look at it, but you're correct. About the number 64 needs to be changed to
Should be
68 in Article 69. I can do that quick on the signed copy. But initially what happened when we got the petition in, and then the other changes, which is 68 and 69, if I'm remembering correctly, what Kathy had said is you guys consulted the attorney on how to deal with those two questions where they contradicted each other. And this is what the attorney recommended. That's what I remember Kathy saying. Because we didn't touch it, we were like, you know,
We understand, I'm just asking how is anybody going to know?
they would not know.
They will not know.
But it's kind of an explanation saying, if, you know, so they're not looking at the two articles and being confused that, you know, because they do contradict each other.
Thank you for picking it up. We renumbered so many times, and we broke this umpteen different times, but
We
I
did,
forgot the
but
connection once conditional.
The
on
attorney was gonna renumber it all,
Yeah.
but she didn't pick up on that.
Well, I didn't either.
64.
That's not why I brought it up.
No, but I
But
just.
no, that's a good point. I mean, it's, before we go sending this off to the printer.
Did anybody suggest a scenario if both articles should pass? Something
I
like
can-
this?
Discuss it with the attorney. I know,
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Article 68, that is the changes that the historic preservation made to their ordinance, is that correct?
68 was the one that came in by the petition.
It is.
If you read the little thing at the bottom, article inserted by
Okay.
petition, 69, is the one that the actual historic preservation done, is 69. 68 is the one that's for the petition.
Okay, so what it's saying is, if 68 fails, meaning the petition fails, that they want to continue with historic preservation,
Yeah.
then you go on to Article 69, and it says, if it fails, if 68 fails, then we will continue with the ordinance. They will do the corrections to the historic preservation ordinance.
I think it's just in the order acceptance, it would have to happen. If it's voted that there's no more, ordinance, you can't, in the next question, enact it. Because
Okay.
it's cut, and that's the order the attorney said to put them in.
We went back and forth on
Yeah.
that. It was highly unusual.
It-
If the petition hadn't been
I've
there.
seen it happen before, but it's rare.
So basically, the other article becomes moot. If
Correct.
we do away with the Historical Preservation Commission, the other article, no matter how it's voted on, becomes moot because it's no longer valid.
Yeah, it's like it's out of statement.
Correct.
Right.
And if both articles should fail, then we have what we have now.
You have to talk to your attorney.
I would assume
That
you're,
would be my understanding.
we would have what we have.
Right,
That things would just stay.
I just wanted to point it out. I just think
that's what I would assume,
I
yeah.
think it's a yes, no vote. I think the people that want the historical preservation are gonna vote no, and then yes on the second one. So do you know what I mean? I think it will all come out in the wash.
It's up to the voters.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
just pointing out.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the only correction that we have is on Article 69, that should say Article 68.
And the only other comment I have is under Article 71, the subdivision article. Looking at it real quick, I couldn't find anywhere in there where it said that subdivision would be taxable properties, and I believe it should be. I don't want us to end up with another Deer Ridge.
I thought all properties aren't taxable?
Well, Deer Ridge, it's a pretty good exemption.
It's
Because it's a 501c.
501c3.
Because it's a 501c.
A lot of the coastal enterprises stuff is at a very reduced rate. In fact, there was something in front of the board in the last year where we
Because
had
they're a
to,
nonprofit?
Right.
subsidize, so on and so forth.
I would think we would want that guarantee in there.
That might be something you want to address in November? Can we change that now?
Let me get Bruce. I believe this is the elementary school.
Yes, that's what I was changing.
And we had to change it because there was a limitation on how many units would be held in a subdivision.
But I agree with, I can understand where Ben is thinking, if some reason this should change into a 501c, then they could go on no tax status, like Deer Ridge, correct?
Or any new subdivision that might come along.
Because we don't really know what plans they have for that piece of property yet, completely.
I don't actually think that you could tell someone like, oh, if any entity, if any building becomes a nonprofit, we don't have the right to tell them that they still have to pay taxes. That's a federal designation.
Right, the assessor determines whether the paperwork is appropriate.
For the zoning.
Exactly.
Like how it's zoned maybe.
So, but there is a replacement subdivision ordinance on file, and that, the basic change is that the development of the elementary school is a lot more units than currently is in the ordinance. That's the change.
Okay, but if it's going to be tax exempt, as a citizen, I would vote against it in a heartbeat.
No, it's not. It's not going to be tax exempt. In fact, that's one of the big factors. It's a regular housing development that'll be taxable.
I was there for the groundbreaking at Deer Ridge, and we promised it would always be taxes. If you don't cover this, then who knows down the road what will happen? And if we're not gonna get taxes out of that piece of property, I can't see why we would change the rules.
Yeah, but anybody, different owners could, like 501c3 could acquire any piece of property and then put it off the tax rolls, which is a problem in many, many towns. There's a huge amount of non-taxable or tax exempt property, but you
can't.
Because anytime it changes hands, it could change,
The state-
the status of it could change.
exactly.
All right, I raised my concerns.
No, it was an excellent.
It is,
point.
though,
It's
yeah.
excellent.
It is.
Many towns are struggling with the amount, like
Correct.
shoreline stuff,
Yeah.
the land trusts and whatever, doing good work and so on, but they're pulling huge valuations off the taxes.
Then if it's a concern, I mean, I don't want to take it off of here, but if it's a concern that, you have after the election, then bring it up again, and it's possible to take it back to the voters in November, or take it back to the ORC for clarification.
Excuse me, the only thing is, if this is passed in September, they can put their application in the next week, and they will be grandfathered under this. We might change it in November, but until that window, anybody could apply for whatever.
True. Well, that was just.
Well, okay,
No, very good.
Okay, at this point in time, we have a motion on the board to accept the warrant as is, It's moved and seconded.
With the exception of the number of.
Yes, the number,
Article 69 should refer to Article 68.
68, correct. That's the only change in the
Can we
warrant.
go change that right now?
No, you're all right, we'll just,
You're gonna sign it later?
we'll sign this. You're just gonna add a page to it.
I can't do that.
Oh, okay, then go to it, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can't change the
Just
page after
one-
you sign
one
it.
copy.
Just one copy, Linda.
For now, get it signed.
Thank you.
chance to look for something else.
Oh, don't do that now.
Oh, we can vote anyway, and just sign it when she comes back.
So there's a motion.
Okay, all those in favor of the warrant with the corrections? 5-0, it's passed. Okay, when Linda gets back with it, we will sign it and go.
No, Linda's a stickler for this, and she should be, which is why we spend so much time with the attorney.
Yeah.
Making sure everything is in place.
Well, she has to be a stickler. If the buck stops at her desk,
It does, yeah.
things get, she does a good job.
As far as the open meeting, if we're having an election on September 8th, mid-August, I think would be a good time to have it. It gives people plenty of time to ask any questions, get the press out there with what's in the warrant.
Yep, Shauna said she'd help coordinate,
Yeah, I think,
and we'll be sending a copy of this to the superintendent as soon as it's all signed. I'll send a copy to Shauna, who will then send it directly to the superintendent.
yeah, I think that's what we're going to let Shauna do with the superintendent. But I agree that mid-August would be a good time to deal with that.
You want me to hold that for you, Ben?
No, you. Somebody told me that every single article, there was an abstention, but that's not true.
There was one, and there was a negative.
No, I was, direct, like, just 5-2. There are no abstentions on that one.
We had a typo, abstain was put, started with an O all the way through. Abstain,
Yeah,
No,
but we picked up
weary
on that.
fingers.
I mean, you get blurry, you go back and forth.
Thank you, sir.
And I'd like to go on the record as saying that Linda did an enormous amount of work, put in an enormous number of hours.
Thank you.
Just for future reference, anytime you sign a warrant like that, I can't make any changes to it.
Because it's ours, right?
After the fact,
Oh, yeah, good.
Yeah, got it.
so even if it's something as simple as that.
Judy, I think what I'm thinking about is that we needed to make a change. And that time that we stopped in, so we signed it, there was something that needed to be changed, and then we re-signed it.
Yes, you're right. Yes, I remember that.
Here.
There were some paperwork there.
Staples loves me.
I think there was one signature.
it's kind of pleasant here in the morning.
And I want to thank Linda also. It was tedious yesterday.
Yeah.
I was on the email exchange also. I appreciate all the work you did.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
should.
Thank you.
Oh, that's me.
Hopefully next week you can walk.
Yeah, I don't think there's normal in municipal. Unfortunately, but yes, at least improved, yeah. It's just, it is what it is.
Well, there's a first time for
And
everything.
then, one more
We
signature.
can always hope, right?
You know, I can sign them all as a treasurer or budget, since you're all here. Got them all? Thank you.
You signed everything.
Do they want? do they
Okay, if there's
want
no other business?
now, or they can-
I think everything's signed. No?
Do,
Want a motion to
does the
adjourn?
board want individual signed copies, or will we just put them in?
I can put them in your box.
We can.
I don't even need a copy.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I have a motion?
No.
Can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? We're done.
See you guys
Copy of the, like.
off to
Hi,
the.